August 2025. And if you're somewhere, let me see, beyond about 2 thirds away across the Atlantic, then it's already tomorrow. So it's the 13th for you. So I apologize. I was at a business meeting, and the reason I'm bringing it up is this, because it's about people supporting people. You know, it's really, although technically, yeah, it's all about business, but what I found there and what I found in quite a lot of the other groups that I'm a part of, I'm not a part of this group, I was a guest, is that there's a lot of self-support. I was at a ribbon cutting earlier to the local Chamber of Commerce, and there were a lot of people there, chamber members, diplomats, and the people whose ribbon cutting it was. And the message that came across was that we support each other, not just in business, but when things are necessary outside of business. And it's true, you know, we really do that. Anyway, getting on with the reading for today, which sometimes a lot of these things can be misconstrued. It's called Tend to the Flame of Your Soul, which probably doesn't need much explanation, right? Tend to the flame of your soul. First quote is from William Shakespeare. It's actually from Henry VI, and that's Henry VI of France. And his son, the Dauphin, the crown prince, if you like, is telling his father, "Self-love, my liege, is not so vile a sin as self-neglecting. Self-love, my liege, is not so vile a sin as self-neglecting." So there you are. That's the Dauphin telling his father, the king, Henry VI. And Ernest Holmes in The Science of Man, this potentially could be misinterpreted, so I'm going to explain it a little bit. He says, to have faith in God is to follow this faith through by having faith in the self. And this is where it could be misunderstood. The real self is God, and as such is to be implicitly trusted. The spark that burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living and eternal flame of the Spirit. Ernest Holmes firmly believed that in all creation there was one mind, and that's the mind of God, or the divine, or the ground of all being, whatever you want to call it, and that we simply are users of this one mind. And also, since the divine produced everything, then everything is an expression of the divine. So when he says the real self is God, he's talking about when you get the ego out of the way, you realize that you are an expression of the divine, and that's what it means. It's often misinterpreted for people to say, oh, well, you say you're God. No. Nobody, nothing is the whole of God except God, the divine, the all. So hope that clears it up. And one thing also that came out of this, be it as Business Networking International, I went to support a friend who was actually giving a presentation there. She's a business friend of mine. And when the presentations for individual members, everybody's allowed 45 seconds to introduce themselves, talk about their business, even guests. The person in charge said, remember that stories sell. You know, facts are okay, but it's stories that sell. So when I see a message in something like the daily readings, and it's got a story to it, I really like it. And this one does. In the winter months in Colorado, my husband builds wonderful fires in the fireplace of our home. He knows how to get a roaring fire going. Not only is it warming, but it's also beautiful to watch as the flames flicker. We have an imitation one at Christmas, you know, that imitation log that you can get on the television. Then comes a time when we have to let the fire burn out, obviously for safety's sake. The flames get smaller and smaller, and they become tiny, unable to keep us warm anymore. And then she goes on to say, Reverend Michelle, as Shakespeare suggests, when we neglect ourselves, The divine spark of our being can become like those tiny flickers I watch as the fire goes out in our fireplace. To me, this can manifest in my world like a lack of will to live, low energy, anxiety, and a disconnect with the conditions and people in my life. The only one who can stoke the fire of my being and bring the divine warmth back fully into the core of my being is me. Just as when we seek warmth in the winter, we have to stoke the fire in our fireplace, metaphorically speaking. We must make the effort to stoke the fire of our being. This can include making sure that I'm doing things my soul loves to do. She goes on to say, what? I love to sing and frequently sing to myself in the car as I drive. I will likely never be a Grammy-winning performer, yet singing feeds my soul and stokes the fire of my being. Feed your soul, stoke your fire. So when Reverend Michelle says the only person who can do this for you is you, yes, that's true. However, as I mentioned on many occasions, sometimes we need outside help in doing that. And that's why in New Thought, and especially in Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living, we have practitioners, people specifically trained. They've gone through 4 years of classes, well, 3 years of classes, really, 1 year of soul searching involved in that, and a final year in teaching people how to pray with other people and support them. So that's why we have practitioners. Ministers have to first become practitioners before they can become a minister. Kind of like in a lot of churches, people have to become a deacon before they can become a minister or a priest. It's just a step along the path for some. But for a lot of people, like in the Catholic Church now, deacons are deacons. They're not going anywhere. Practitioners are practitioners. They don't want to become ministers, most of them. So, but the bottom line is this. Only you can do it for you, but sometimes you do need that outside help, and that is what we're here for. So please give us a like. I know this gets watched all over the world. I really do. It may take days before it gets watched, but I know it gets watched in different countries. My wife Barbara was talking to a friend of ours in Northern Europe today, and she comes on sometimes and watches it. I know people in the Netherlands watch it. People in Scandinavia watch it. So it's not me, it's the message. I am just the deliverer of the message. So I hope you like these messages. This month in particular, they are very uplifting. They are to the point, but they're very uplifting. And they show us that, well, we can keep improving as we go through life. And I don't know what's wrong with my voice, but I better shut up before it gives out. I don't know why. I tend to the fire of my soul as I stoke the inner flame of my divine self. I tend to the flame of my soul as I stoke the inner flame of my divine self. Tomorrow, 3 things happening. 1, Reverend Lisa, around about 9:15, my colleague, Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page. Ditto, our midweek meditation with practitioner Daniel Mercadal, and then me on whatever social media or whatever platform you saw this on, around about 5 p.m. So until next time, please take care of yourselves. It's really important. You are important. There is something in life that only you can do. I don't know what it is. You may not even know what it is, but if you work at it, you will find out. There's a specific thing in life that only you can do. So until next time, namaste.